left to Elliott. Oh, the bicycle!
The shot! Bedoya with a goal! 1-0 Union!
Hey Union fans, welcome to Union Insider presented by Bimbo Bakeries USA, your go-to spot for all things Philly Union. We are so glad to be back here with you this week alongside Sebastian Latou and Sheanon Williams. I'm Marisa. The Leagues Cup is still underway, and this tournament is all about survive and advance, and that is exactly what the Union did on Tuesday night against the New York Red Bulls. Philly looked a little out of sorts to start this match. They failed to meet New York's intensity, conceding a goal in the first 4 minutes of play, but Philly was able to grow themselves into this game and found the equalizer in the 68th minute from Nathan Harriel. Went to PKs, the Union won in a shootout 4-3 and punched their ticket to the quarterfinals. Guys, throughout this regular season and even the Leagues Cup, we have stressed the importance of the Union starting off matches strong. They didn't do that again on Tuesday night, but made sure to play themselves into this match. How did they do that after conceding so early?
Luckily, they play at home, so I think they have the support of the fans, which I think was a huge help in this game to really come back, especially at the end of the first half is where they're trying to kind of starting winning some duels, be more intense, into their pressing, and then they kind of carry on this into the second half where they were lucky to score on the set pieces, but the intensity was not here. But for me, I think playing at home was huge to really have this help from the fans to kind of get back into this game.
For me, it's not great to concede so early, but it does give you the rest of the game to kind of find your way back into it. I will say that for them, it was important for them not to concede a second goal, which they didn't do, and they were able to find themselves back in, and then Nate Harriel got himself a second goal in this Leagues Cup in the 68th minute.
The Union were supposed to play this match on Monday night, but because of some pretty intense weather in the area, action was rescheduled for Tuesday. With a Leagues Cup quarterfinal berth on the line, the Union had only one thing standing in their way: their rivals, the New York Red Bulls. Let's relive the drama from Tuesday night.
Off the back heel, Julian Carranzo racing ahead. Here's Luquinhas, gets a ball through. This is Omir Fernandez, able to square it, and a goal! The Red Bulls are on top. Elias Manuel with the finish. And it's a blistering start for New York on the road. The Union, Edelman with the flick ahead, and this ball for Van Zier. Dante Van Zier in on Blake, fires and shot it wide. Gorgeous opportunity to put the Red Bulls up by 2. He missed it. He'll swing this ball out. Send Dan Hennon. Go! The tying goal for Nathan Harriel. And we're level at 1. Morgan to get it started for the Red Bulls. Here we go. Morgan fires, saved by Blake. It's a big start for the Philadelphia Union. Is this the kick that puts Philadelphia through to the quarterfinal? Jesus Bueno, go! And it's over. The Union win it on a penalty shootout for the second straight time in Leagues Cup.
Seba, Sheanon, everybody was ready for this match to take place on Monday night. It got pushed back an entire day. What does that do for a team's mindset to be ready to play a game that night and then have to reset and get ready for the next day?
Just a little bit, but I don't think he did too much. I think it just gives them another day of rest, to make sure they could be ready physically. But for the Union, playing at home is not like that to travel or hold on a little bit, to play this game. So I don't think he changed that much in the mentality. The lineup stayed the same. It was not any change, from Jim Curtin. So everybody know what to do. It's just the same game plan was exactly the same. It's just better weather, so better condition to play.
And also, as you said, getting that rest always good because this tournament has been coming fast and furious. Talking about the defense now, Sheanon, conceding in the 4th minute, what defensively broke down early on for the Union?
I think at times you've seen it during the season that they get a little disorganized where they're crisscrossing and going across each other, which isn't always great. You play in a certain position for a reason and you play on the left or the right for a certain reason. So when you all of a sudden have to switch, you're in unfamiliar territory and having to cover ground that you're not normally covering. So I think for them, they need to do a good job of staying organized and making sure that they stay in their positions.
On the attack, what did you think of how they were able to create play going forward and connect in the final third?
I always repeat myself, but every time they put a bit more intensity into their pressing and they win the ball high, it's where I think they are very good, kind of like going forward and create chances. The same time is when, let's say, they build more into the back because some team now leave the ball a bit more to the Union. I think they just need to find those good long balls, but not just making the ball into the space, but try to give a chance to the forward to maybe get it and then kind of push the team forward to maybe then win the ball. And I think the back three yesterday were not very good into finding the space. It got a little bit better when Michael Ura came into the game, but they could have done a better job to put the ball really behind the defense of Red Bulls because they were playing very high, and I think they put themselves in danger sometimes trying to play short when they should have maybe played the long ball.
So the long ball, so the Union don't want to have possession all of the time. They'd rather, go on the attack. If teams are making them possess more, the direct play is really the way to go?
I think it's just the way the team play and the way the strength. We saw it yesterday in the last minute when as soon as you see Martinez, Flack, or the midfield guy, Bueno, when he came in to kind of win those second ball. It's something that the team is always the best. And you see then all the fans in the stadium are going into it, and you can feel it as a player when you're on the field that you see the fan they see that you are winning every duel, they show you support, and then you have kind of like an extra breeze to get the extra effort and get kind of like the ball moving forward and make an extra run. And I think it's what the player felt when they start playing this way, and I think it's all when they're the best, especially when they play at Subaru Park.
This was the second consecutive Leagues Cup match that it went to PKs for the Union. How can they make sure that this next game is going to be finished in regulation? They don't have to go to that shootout situation.
By having a better start, I think that they can really get themselves going, especially being at home with a better start to the game. I think they've been a little bit lackluster in the past two games, and it hasn't really gotten going until maybe the end of the game or the second half, and they need to get going in the first half, especially being at home.
We're stepping away for just a bit, but first it's time for this week's Union Trivia presented by United Concordia. Which player has committed the most fouls in Union history? Find out the answer later on in the show. We're back with This Week in Union History presented by Premier Orthopedics. This week in 2017, the Union went up to Gillette Stadium and took down the New England Revolution 4-0. CJ Sapong started the scoring in the second minute, with other goals being scored by Chris Pontius, Richie Marquez, and Roland Alberg. It's time now for Bracket Breakdown presented by Subaru. The 4 quarterfinal matches of the Leagues Cup are set for August 11th and feature 6 MLS clubs and 2 Liga MX sides. Sheanon, why do you think MLS clubs have had a little more success in this inaugural tournament?
I think it has a lot to do with where they're at in their seasons, being a good majority with only, 11 games left, and the Liga MX teams starting off their season and only having 2 games under their belt and a preseason. I think that's really kind of flipped the tables. We've seen it a lot happen in Champions League, where the MLS teams are now starting and the Liga MX teams are in the midway through their season, and how it's been a struggle. So I think that's starting to flip. I also think with all the MLS teams being at home and these being home games for the MLS teams, it's a big deal. We know how hard it is to go down to Mexico and to play games in their hostile environment. So I think that's helped the MLS teams in this inaugural Leagues Cup.
Yeah, Philly has definitely been on the advantage of that home field advantage. And we'd be remiss not to talk about a certain team in Leagues Cup. Inter Miami debuted Lionel Messi, the GOAT in Leagues Cup. He has 7 goals in 4 games with Inter Miami. He is averaging 1 goal every 42 minutes. How surprised are you at all of the performance so far by Messi and Inter Miami?
I have to say I'm a little bit surprised. I don't think it was going to be that good from the beginning. I think he really started so quick, with his winning free kick coming into the game, and then from that, everything kind of flipped from Miami. It's almost the same team. Of course, you have Busquets, you have Alba who come as well to help, but the team is really, really different. And you see even Messi playing having fun. I think this is a big thing for me. It's every time I see him, you see him having fun, really being into the game. He wants to win. He's not just here to get some touches. He fight. As I remember the game against Orlando, he was talking to one of the players, going to locker room. So you can see that he's here to win something, and it's great to see. But I think the most important is you see him having fun. You see him, embrace being with new teammates, and everybody in his team change as well, the way they play. It's not, you saw Taylor, you saw Kremaski, all those young guys, coming into this team and playing very well. So it's great to see, but oh my God, yeah, he has been amazing.
Orlando gave him a run for his money in terms of how physical they were playing. Atlanta, they have a pretty weak defense, so it was no surprise that he was able to really get a lot of things going. Are any other clubs starting to watch these games? How can other MLS clubs be looking at Leagues Cup and being like, oh, there's an answer for Messi?
I definitely think you have to keep an eye on it. It's something that, especially being the Union's position where they could end up facing each other if they get past another round for both teams, it's something you're trying to figure out, okay, how do we stop this guy? How do we slow him down? Because right now he's just running wild on everybody, and it's been fun to see from a fan's perspective, but I'm sure from a coaching and team perspective, it's starting to worry people, and it's starting to have people wondering, what do we do to stop this? And I think a big thing to stopping it is limiting his touches. It's easier said than done, especially for somebody that's so experienced in finding the ball and finding good areas and just where he touches the ball. I think it's got to be something that is a key moment and a key factor in any game plan.
Time now for our first team report presented by Green Mountain Energy. The Union faced a familiar foe in Leagues Cup quarterfinals on Friday, but not the one you think. It's Querétaro, the team they beat 5-1 at Subaru Park just 13 days ago. Even with that performance, it's a team that should not be overlooked late in this tournament. Here's what head coach Jim Curtin had to say about squaring off with Querétaro the second time in Leagues Cup.
Yeah, they're very good. They're a very good team. They're kind of the surprise of the competition, I would say, because they, I think, have, from what I've heard and read and seen, have had a lot of adversity in terms of player payments and different things going on. Sometimes the noise from the outside can galvanize a group, and I think you're seeing that with Querétaro. You're seeing a team that has grown into the tournament. Yes, we did beat them, but beating a team twice in this quick of amount of time is very, very hard to do. So, they're familiar with our stadium now, so that kind of is a factor. It is a funny variable in this competition, but it's going to be hard. It's going to be really, really hard for us to play them. There's no question about that. But I would say that at home, the onus is on us to dictate the game, and we'll recover as quickly as possible. And if things align right, I think you guys know what the next game would look like. So that could be good too, if everybody does their part.
The first time the Union faced off against Querétaro, it was the first time ever these two sides met. Now they're going to meet again for the second time in just about 2 weeks. What are the pros and cons of meeting a team that quickly in succession?
The pros are that they won 5-1. I think that's got to be definitely the first pro. I think the cons of it are that they're going to be ready, they're going to have a new game plan and try to come at this Union team in a different way than what they did beforehand. So we'll have to see how they match up and what changes they've made. They've also started to grow in confidence as they move through this tournament and been able to navigate through some pretty tricky situations, especially losing 5-1 and then getting out of the group stages is number one, and then going through these next couple stages. So I think you're going to see a different team and a team that's a little bit more experienced in terms of game time, in terms of minutes logged, and I think that's going to really help them in terms of having to face this Union team again.
Yeah, and for me, like the pros, like you said, Sheanon, I think it's the fact that they know they can score a lot of goals against this team, maybe not the best defense, and it came from lots of different players in the Union. And the count is kind of like you said, it's the fact that they won 5-1. You don't have to take this team like lightly. It's not going to be easy. They're going to come with a game plan. They're going to be more, really into the teams. They know what to expect, from the fans. They already know the stadium. It's not a different atmosphere for them. So not really kind of starting the same way than they started against the Red Bulls, because I think it was the same against the Red Bulls. The Union knew that they already beat them the past 5 years, and they kind of like, it's going to be easy today. So if they kind of like right away put the intensity into this game and not take lightly Querétaro, who they beat 5-1, 2 weeks ago, I think they should get the win. But we saw them, beating, New England in the last game in PK, same result, 1-1. So they are here for the fight, and they want, to get the semifinal.
What changes at all do you expect the Union to be making heading into this match?
For me, it will be one of my keys we talk about later, but it's all about the defense. And I think the way they defend as a group, if they play at 3 or 4, I think it's important to really shut down a lot of opportunity and the space and not give too much of easy chances to them, because otherwise they're going to punish you. And of course, we have Andre Blake in a goal, but he might not be always all the safe. So they need to, I think, be better defensively and then be better with the ball as well.
Union Insider will be back after this, but first, here's a preview of sit-down interview we did with Union Sporting Director Ernst Tanner.
The project we built so far is pretty outstanding, well recognized, even amongst our competitors in the league. But there is still a lot to do. Improve our development, transition in our first team there's a lot of things to do, and finally it's always a nice goal if you're working a country where a World Cup is ahead. We extended Jim's contract because we believe in him, and what he has done so far is really excellent. You know, continuity is a high good in a soccer club, and if you look around, in most of the clubs where continuously the same persons are working, these are usually the clubs who are doing a good job and are finally being successful. And that's what we want to even extend here, and Jim is the main part of it. We are not a glamour club, everybody knows that. Yeah, we are basically a working class club. We stand for blue collar, we stand for the region and for what Philly is known for, and that's what we need to represent here.
Time for this week's Chick-fil-A Nugget of the Week. Olivier Mbaizo scored the game-winning penalty kick against DC United last Thursday, advancing the Union to the round of 16. It was his first time scoring in any capacity since joining the Union in 2018. Welcome back to Union Insider presented by Bimbo Bakeries USA. I'm Marisa. As the Union continue their Leagues Cup play, it's time for these two to hand over their keys to the game, presented by Subaru. Seba, what is your key?
I will go with winning the second ball. I think it was a huge thing in the last game against the Red Bull. You saw like the Red Bulls really like walking on the Union for the first 35 minutes, because every time it was second ball, they were the first one winning it, and then they kind of get position and they get the ball into the half of the Union. So even if they don't play very well and they can't really connect some passes, they need to be able to win the second ball. And you saw it at the end of the first half and then the second half. And I think Bueno was a big part of it, coming into the game to really put a bit higher pressure, kind of really helping Gazdag and Carranza being higher the field to win those balls, and having, Herjol and Wagner, a bit up the field as well, was a bit better to be on time and not late every time those second ball arrive. So I think it's a huge thing for the team, especially at home. And like you say, we play every 4 days. Everybody's kind of a bit tired. You don't see a lot of rotation from Jim Curtin in those games. So you need to really be on top right away and kind of put the game into bed maybe by the 65th, 70 minutes. So then, you can rest some guy and be ready for the semifinal.
Sheanon, for you.
My key to the game is going to be for the Union to stay organized defensively. I think they've given up a goal in all but one game in this Leagues Cup run, and I want to see them start to pick it up defensively. We know what they can do on the defensive side of the ball. We've seen it in years past, and they need to bring that as they continue on into this tournament. We've been sitting here talking about the likes of Messi coming in or the likes of LAFC coming in, and they're going to have to be sharp defensively, regardless of them being at home. They should be even better at home defensively than they are on the road. So look for them to tighten up in the back and really get this going.
Now let's take a look at some of the action from across MLS on Around the League, presented by Torque. The Cinderella story continues for Liga MX side Querétaro. They defeated Pumas 1-0 in the round of 32, and they won this thrilling PK over the New England Revolution to advance to the Leagues Cup quarterfinal, where they'll face your Philadelphia Union on Friday. And of course, we just have to talk about Messi again because, well, take a look at this stunning free kick against FC Dallas. This would tie up the match and send the game to PKs, where Inter Miami would prevail and move on to the quarterfinals. We're stepping away one more time, but first, here's the answer to this week's Union Trivia question. Alejandro Bedoya has committed a club record 316 fouls in his time with the Union. Union Insider returns after this. Starting this year, every Union League match is on MLS Season Pass on Apple TV. Sign up today to make sure you don't miss a minute of the action. You can check out the live Whip Around show, MLS 360, or if you missed out on live, you can relive every moment with full match replays. And get this, if you're a T-Mobile subscriber, you get the whole year of Season Pass content free of charge. It's time to wrap up Union Insider presented by Bimbo Bakeries USA, which means it's time for our all-state players to watch. So, Seba and Sheanon are picking a player to watch for the quarterfinal Leagues Cup match happening this Friday. I just want to preface this by saying Sheanon doesn't have the best luck with his players to watch. Maybe it's even bad luck for Sheanon to pick you for his player to watch. I'll give him a moment just to think of somebody he thinks for sure will actually have an impact. And Seba, why don't you go first? Because you're usually pretty good at this.
Take your time, Sheanon.
Watch the master work.
I'm going to go with Jack Maglin. Okay. I think, with his play during this tournament has been pretty good. I think he can still be a little bit better defensively, a bit stronger into his game to win the ball, but it's not really his role. I think think his passing has been really, really good. He scored in this tournament, so I think his confidence will be high. And now, as maybe Daniel Gazdag being injured or not, we might see him maybe play as a number 10, which could be a great position for him to really put the team, into a good passing and kind of like finding those gaps for Michael Rura, for Carranza. So I think he can be a big impact into this game, and I'm looking forward to see him on the field.
It'll be interesting to see how his distribution kind of plays a role more centrally. And are you ready? Are you
I'm
ready to pick?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, let's have it.
I'm going to go with Jack McGlynn. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to go with Andre Blake. I think Andre is somebody that's come up big in this tournament, not only from the first game, but also in the last game with the PK save. Also one hitting the crossbar, 2 PKs missed in the last game. So if this game has to come down to PKs, we know that we have a great goalkeeper in goal. Let's just hope that Joe Bendik is going to be watching from the bench and that Andre actually plays this game. So my player to watch will be Andre Blake.
That's going to do it for us. The Union are back at Subaru Park on Friday to face Liga MX side Querétaro for the second time this League's Cup. 8 p.m. kick, Apple TV. Sheanon will be alongside Dave Leno for the radio call, 97.5 The Fanatic. For Seba, Sheanon, and our entire crew, I'm Marisa. Have a great weekend, and thanks for watching.